Welcome to OkState Daily. Casey Porter here. So glad that you decided to tune in. What an exciting night it was Wednesday night. Hey, Tuesday night for the boys was exciting up until about a minute to go in the half as far as the boys games go. Arizona came in and beat OSU, but the Cowgirls came back and beat the number 9th ranked team in the United States of America, the TCU Horned Frogs. It was a crazy game. It was super fun to watch. Wife and I, the beautiful bride of 25 years, both of us went and braved the cold on both nights, and we had one hell of a time. So, yeah, it was a great time. But as far as the boys go, hey, it was actually a pretty good game for, like I said, the first 39 minutes. Jamiron Keller hits a free throw with, I think, a little bit under a minute to go in the first half and pulls the game within one. And I'm thinking, hey, OSU's able to score. The offensive end looks good. They're sharing the ball. There's several different guys that are scoring. Chichi Avery we saw got hot. Arturo Dean hit some shots. Bryce Thompson had a really, really, really nice first half. And the Cowboys were scoring. The problem was, man, as the game went on, Arizona might be, I was talking to some people who are pretty close to it. Houston probably the best defensive team in the league. Arizona probably the best offensive team. Just simply way too much skill. They moved the ball too well. 3 or 4 different times, Oklahoma State hit a three-pointer, especially Chichi Avery. And, you could kind of feel OSU like it was a 9-6 or an 11-8. And OSU, as far as the lead goes for Arizona, and it felt like OSU was trying to make a push. And if you just could have got a stop or two and then scored again and got it down to 5, kind of what the girls did. When I was sitting with my wife, I told her in the third quarter when OSU got down, I think 13, I said they just need to make it under double digits, into single digits before the fourth quarter starts. And they did that. And then I kept telling her they just need to hit that 1-3 to get it down to 4. And it's still up there around 7 or 8. You're putting scoreboard pressure on your opponent, but not a substantial amount. But when the Cowgirls, I believe it was Jaden Wooten who hit about 4 or 5 shots in a row, but I think it was specifically her shot that got the lead down to 4, you could really see how the scoreboard pressure affected TCU. Unfortunately, in the boys' game, second half, scoreboard pressure, close game with about a minute to go in the first half, didn't bother Arizona at all. Arizona scored 92 points. So the offense was good for OSU, but like Coach Led said, hey, you're not going to win in the Big 12. Matter of fact, this is his exact quote. You can't win this league if you're going to play that way on defense. And that's not to say we can't, because for 15 minutes, the first 15 minutes of the game, Oklahoma State showed that they could play decent defense. And if you can do it for 15 minutes, Coach Led said, then you can do it for the entire game. How good is Arizona on the offensive end, though? The Cats had twice as many assists as they did turnovers, and they had more steals than they did assists. So it was a very impressive night for them. They were very efficient. They made the most of their skill. They are probably the most skilled offense in the Big 12. Again, Oklahoma State, 46% from the field. You can't argue with that. 43% from the three-point line. Most of that was Marcellus Avery. So it was a good night on offense that really just kind of got wasted by just not being able to guard Arizona. I think some of that, as Coach Lutz is hitting on, Oklahoma State really needs to get better. I think some of it, again, just Arizona being a really good offensive team. So Oklahoma State also shot 24 free throws and made 19 of those, so that was good. So putting the ball in the bucket was not the problem for OSU. Also, Bryce Thompson, coming into this game, listening to the radio broadcast and listening specifically to Dave Hunsiker, I had mentioned on our live show Sunday that it just seems like when Bryce Thompson is leading the pack, or at least up there, having a good night offensively, OSU does well. We'll come to find out he actually had the exact stat. Oklahoma State had only lost one game all year coming into Tuesday night, where Bryce Thompson had scored in double digits or better, right? Or not better, but double digits. So it is significant when Bryce Thompson reaches double digits in the scoring category. It has been almost a guaranteed win every time this year. Not Tuesday, though. Just the second time all year Bryce Thompson scored in double digits, and the Cowboys did not win that game. But I'll tell you what, Bryce Thompson was very good. He traded buckets a lot early with Arizona. He drove to the bucket. He pulled up from mid-range. He shot the ball from the outside. And for about 15 to 20 minutes of the game against Arizona, especially in the first half, it felt like the Bryce Thompson that we all expected to be the five-star type of guy. But I'll say this, and I mentioned several different times, Bryce Thompson's been at Oklahoma State for a long time. He loves OSU all the way back to his Booker T days. I know his dad, Rod Thompson, went to TU, but he grew up in some pretty heavy Oklahoma State roots at Booker T. So being at Oklahoma State has been special for him. And he's had that career that has been, it's been a great career. It's over 1,000 points, okay? But we wanted the elite career out of him. So I'll say this, there's very few basketball players I have more respect for than Bryce Thompson. And in the postgame, listening to him, he point blank said, he did not mince words. Yeah, it's great that I scored points. Yeah, it's great I got into double digits. Whatever, but I really don't care because the only thing I care about is this team winning. Literally the only thing Bryce Thompson cares about is winning. Him being his last year on campus for OSU, and he point blank said, just like Coach Lutz, we are never going to win games if we give up 92 points. So that was kind of very straightforward from him, and I really appreciated that. Just kind of another notch on the belt of the appreciation factor for Bryce Thompson. Abu Usman had another nice game. Most of his points were late, 14 points, 53% from the field, so high percentage shots for him, scoring over that right shoulder. Went to the line 10 times. Again, most of his free throws were late. I thought Brandon Newman was fantastic early in the game for OSU. He made a three, drove to the bucket. He was just kind of that, you have your Chichi Avery guys that shoot from the outside. You have your Abu Usmans that post up in the paint. And then you kind of have that Brandon Newman guy that can do a little bit of all of it. So I think Brandon Newman needs to play a bigger factor with this team. He brings great experience. He's played this game at a high level, at the college level for many years now, and he's good. He's skilled and he's tough, and I think he's a tough matchup for other teams. So it was good to see Brandon Newman at least have a good first half, and you'd like to see Brandon Newman play the entire game the way he played the first 10 minutes, right? I think if he does that, Oklahoma State would be a formidable team, right? This is a team that we mentioned on our live show Sunday. You got to find winnable games, and the games that you find that are winnable, there's going to be some games like Tuesday night that are going to be incredibly difficult to win. Like at BYU, just the matchups to it, incredibly difficult. But there are some games that are winnable. Oklahoma State's found two, Colorado and K-State at home. And when you have a winnable game, then you have to take advantage of those games, right? And so Chichi Avery, really, really, really good three-point shooter, tried to keep Oklahoma State in the game 3 or 4 different times. OSU just simply could not stop Arizona. But how about 40% from three-point range for Chichi Avery? What a weapon that is. Really, really, really good three-point shooter. So, hey, the boys went down by 14, 92-78. Good night on offense. Not going to parse words here. My opinion, disappointing crowd. Not trying to preach or anything. It's just, hey, Oklahoma State, they moved on from Mike Boynton. If you're one that doesn't like Mike Holder because you feel like he drug OSU basketball on the ground, if you're one that, hey, OSU hasn't won in 20 years, I get all that. But there's literally nothing else that the administration can do to promote Oklahoma State fans to go to games. They removed their last coach that people weren't happy with, okay? They went and hired the best coach they could possibly find to show that they're committed to basketball. All of the bells and whistles, the band is good, the pregame stuff's good, all the scene setter videos are good. The team is what it is. Coach Lutz got in late. But I just would urge Oklahoma State fans to give this group a chance. Don't wait until they win to say, well, I'm going to wait till they win to go because it's not worth my time. Go to the games and be a part of the reason why they win, like we saw on Wednesday night with the girls. I can tell you, it made a huge factor in the women's game on Wednesday. So that would kind of be my message to the Oklahoma State fans, is that don't wait for them to win. Be a part of the reason why this thing does get turned around, and go and provide an atmosphere that when Chi-Chi Avery hits a three-pointer and Oklahoma State pulls it within 7 or 8, that it's loud enough to actually affect the other team, of which it has not been in a long time. But anyways, that's here nor there. And so, hey, that's our talk about the boys. Let's now move on to the women's team who played Wednesday night. Comeback Cowgirls. Hey, man, they were hosting the TCU Horned Frogs, and I'll tell you what, TCU Sedona Prince is a load. And give praise Everegba and give Tenin Magassa. Didn't score a lot. Give them a ton of credit because Sedona Prince is a ridiculously tough matchup down low. And she scored quite a bit early, but when you look at what happened in the last 6 minutes of the game, she didn't score. And then when Oklahoma State missed 6 free throws down the stretch and gave TCU the ball with 8 seconds to go with last second opportunity, last second possession to go win, I mean, Oklahoma State was only up 1 point. If TCU just scores any kind of bucket, or if they get the ball down low and they foul, they just have to make 1 free throw to tie the game. Having said that, and knowing that Sedona Prince is on the other end, a very difficult matchup, give Tenin Magassa, give praise Egba so much credit for matching up with Sedona Prince. I think they made her work harder for her points than she's used to working. I think they frustrated her, and you can just kind of see how TCU, in my opinion, they orbit around her. They have some really great players besides her. That's not what I'm saying. But everything, you dump the ball in the paint, the spacing clears because you got to double, you got to bring over help, and then they find a shooter, and it seems like whenever they find a shooter, they don't ever miss. So Sedona Prince, 22 points in the paint. Rest of the Lady Frogs played well around her. The lead got all the way up to 14 with 1:53 to go in the first half. The lead was 9 with 6 minutes to go, right? And wow, what a comeback. Jaden Wooten, how about the freshman? I turned to my beautiful bride of 25 years during about the end, towards the latter half of the third quarter, and I was like, wow, this is interesting with all of this experience. You know, Annegret Ossie and Staley Hurd and Micah Gray and Alexia Smith, who's been in college basketball forever, Macy Heward, with all this tremendous, and then you have obviously your 2 post players, Magassa and Everegba. With all this experience, it's the freshman from Overland Park, Kansas, that's taking all the shots. And I'll tell you what, she missed 1 shot. She made every other shot she took down the stretch. I think if she would have missed 1 more shot, Oklahoma State doesn't win, because literally when Oklahoma State was coming back, it just felt like every shot she took had to go in for Oklahoma State to continue climbing. And when the fourth quarter started, I was like, well, I told my wife, I was like, I think Oklahoma State, I know they have enough offense to come back and win this game. It's going to be tough to stop TCU. I think they had, I'm not exactly their point total at the point whenever I mentioned that to her, but I just remember saying that I'm not sure Oklahoma State can stop TCU enough to actually make up 9 points. So I think Oklahoma State will score like 20 some odd points to finish the game, but can they keep TCU from scoring 11, right? To actually make up 9 points and not just score. I'll be darned if they didn't. So TCU got the lead early. They had the lead right before half at 14 points right before the end of the first half. I mean, it was going into halftime, it was like, okay, well, a lot of work to do. Yeah, I guess the number 9 ranking is legit for TCU. But then, like I said, Oklahoma State really put it in gear. They started scoring. Wooten scored at the end of the first half. You forget to bring it to within a 9-point game, and then it was just on like Donkey Kong from there. So Jaden Wooten, 5 buckets down the stretch. And like I said, I think, of course, she did miss one shot. She made 5, missed 1 in the last 6 minutes of the game. I think if she misses another one, I'm not sure Oklahoma State wins the game. I mean, it was the margin for error was just that slim. And I think without Jaden Wooten overall in the game Wednesday night, I think Oklahoma State loses by double digits. Man, Staley Hurd is awesome. She's a superstar, no doubt about it. Micah Gray was fantastic. Alexia Smith scored in double digits. Anna Gredasi, fantastic shooter. Both post players, very good players. But on Wednesday night, if Jaden Wooten is not on the Oklahoma State Cowgirl roster, I personally think Oklahoma State, the Pokes, I think we lose by double digits. Anna Gredasi had another big night, 10 points. Surprisingly, the Cowgirls, hey, you remember this past weekend, OSU at UCF took 30 three-pointers. Wednesday night just took 10. Anna Gredasi only took 1 three-pointer on the entire evening and still scored in double digits. So a third of the amount of three-pointers taken than they took this weekend. That's a great sign. So we mentioned, hey, is it a formula to like reach your potential to have to rely on jump shooting and not be a good defensive team? Cowgirls just flipped that on its head. So instead of just being that team, they were a team that scored not having to shoot the three-pointer, only 10 three-pointers taken the entire game. And then they played good defense against a good offensive team, and specifically a really, really good offensive player in Sadina Prince. So great job, Anna Gredasi, 10 points, only 1 three-pointer taken. Alexia Smith had 9 points of herself in 26 minutes. She also had 5 rebounds, and she made a big 3. So Alexia Smith did a great job. Without Alexia Smith, instead of Oklahoma State being down 14, they might have been down 20 or more because she hit some big shots early. And what else can you say about Staley Hurd? Huge night again for her. She had the three-pointer that gave the Cowboys the lead. Jaden Wooten, her 5th made bucket, tied the game for the Cowgirls. And then also Jaden Wooten had the assist to Staley Hurd that gave the Cowboys, the Cowgirls, the 3-point shot from Hurd that gave them the lead. It was super exciting. So what a game. And after the game, it was a lot of fun because Coach Hoyt, she took the microphone and thanked the crowd, thanked the students for the wonderful atmosphere. It was electric, and there weren't that many people there, but the people that were there were absolutely into it. I hope the electricity continues, but the crowds continue to grow because that team's a lot of fun. And congratulations to Coach Hoyt, first-class act, taking the mic. The students rushed the floor. That was fun to watch. I got all that video on my social media. The alma mater was a lot of fun. So all in all in the game, Oklahoma State made 25 field goals, shot 43% from the floor. And again, actually I said 10, just took 13 three-pointers and made 4 of them. So 3 girls scored in double digits with Staley Hurd leading the way, 17. Jaden Wooten, the true freshman from Overland Park, Kansas. She added 14, and Anna Gredasi again had 10. But like I said, this was a game that was won on the on the defensive end. Make no doubt about that. So it was a lot of fun. Huge win. This has been a Cowgirl team we've been saying forever. Lots and lots and lots of potential. What's the definition of potential? It means you haven't done it yet, right? Well, Tuesday night they did it. So the potential we've been saying this team has turned into results. Now, what this team needs to show is maturity. Don't go to Houston and get beat, right? Of course, Texas Tech is a really good team. That's where they're going to go on Saturday. This will not be an easy game. Oklahoma State, Texas Tech is 14-7. They're in Lubbock. This will be a difficult game. So the Cowgirls will have to rebound. They'll have to get over the excitement of this. They'll have to have a couple of really nice days of practice, and they'll need to head west and play their A game to beat Texas Tech. They'll need to play another game like they did on Wednesday to beat Texas Tech on the road. And then, hey, win, lose, or draw Saturday. Next Wednesday, Oklahoma State, the Cowgirls, they host Arizona State at home. That's your next home game. Be there, man. It's a lot of fun. Come to the game. They put the curtains down, but there's plenty of seating. Come to the game. Let's keep making these crowds a little bit bigger, and let's give these girls the support that they deserve. So, hey, I hope you enjoyed our podcast for today. I want to thank you for tuning in. And with that, I'd like to say, hey, go Pokes.